Hey guys, welcome back to the Batar Project. I'm your host, Nick Batar. Thank you so much for tuning in. If it's your first time, welcome. If you're back again, thank you so much for tuning in. Grateful. Super excited for today's guest. He's an actor, model, director. Most people would know him from the movies Kissing Booth, all the way from South Africa. Josh Eady, brother, thank you so much for taking your time out.
Dude, thank you so much for having me. I appreciate being here. Thank you for your time.
Dude, I like to start my podcast with what are you grateful for today?
Is that how you start? That's awesome, dude. I love that. What am I grateful for today? So in South Africa right now, it's kind of like the middle of winter. And for the past like 3-4 days, for whatever reason, I don't understand weather cycles, we've just had like amazing weather. So like sunny, the wind, like there's been a light breeze and it's been nice and warm and everyone's been able to be outside, go out. So something small like that's just made my day. Like looking out the window here and everything's sunny, and we stay out in Half Bay, which is like in the mountains at the coast. And it's beautiful. It's such a great start to the day. So I'll give hats off to that. Yeah.
That's awesome. Sometimes it's just the smallest things in life that you got to be grateful for.
There we go, dude. There we go.
Now, for the people that may not know you, I feel like only my female listeners will probably know you. So how would you, if someone asked you who is Josh Eady, how would you answer that?
That's a good question. How would I describe myself? A guy trying to make it genuinely. I've been blessed with a few different opportunities in acting and in modeling, and started a little marketing production thing on the side as well, which has been great. But at the end of the day, like, it's all just attempts to be happy and to achieve the things I want and build the career that I'm trying to get out of it. So yeah, it might not give him much context now that I think about it, but a guy just trying to do his best at making it.
That's what most people are trying to do, just trying to make the best of their life that they have.
There we go. We're always trying to be happy and follow a passion.
Now, do you want to kind of give a little backstory on yourself and where it all began for you?
So I took drama classes and did like productions and plays and musicals and stuff as a kid. I went to a lot of different schools, lived in a lot of different cities, and I always had a passion for film and for TV. And as a kid, I'd keep a journal and I'd watch my favorite shows and I'd write out the dialogue from my favorite characters. And then I'd learn them off by heart and I'd say them like in day to day, like in a random situation. I could quote a character or quote a movie or, quote to what, like some saying, whatever it was. And out of that, just realized I kind of had this passion for acting and storytelling and portraying character and taking on different roles. And I think when I was 16 or 17, I read an article that Charlize Theron made it out of South Africa by modeling. So I was like, okay, well, I guess that's the only way to do it. I have to model. And so I modeled for 2 years. And in my second year, I landed my first gig in a film, did the film. The second I came off set, I phoned my modeling agent and I was like, I'm done modeling because I really, really didn't enjoy it, and went straight into acting. And then just kind of took it from there. Signed with an agent overseas, met them. I love them with all my heart, amazing people. And then just kind of went from there. It's all a audition, get 100 no's, get 1 yes kind of industry. But it's a very, very special industry to be in. So I'm glad that I was able to make the jump and make it into it. It's something that I've wanted since I was a kid. It's hard, it's difficult, but it's such a blessing to be involved in an industry that's so special, And then as you and I were discussing earlier, from there, the plan was to then make it, come out of South Africa and move overseas and base myself out that side and start grafting from that side of the world.
Awesome. And how old were you when you landed your first gig?
The first gig that I did in film, I was 18. Yeah, 18, which is actually quite late. It's actually very late. I'd never done anything in film prior to that. I just knew that I wanted to. I just didn't really know how to go about it. So I'd done like commercials and stuff like that before. Mainly throughout my teenage years, I did it like, commercials and productions and musicals and stuff like that. And then first TV, TV or film was 18. Yeah.
And along the way, there obviously was struggles you mentioned before, 100 auditions and 99 no's and one yes. How did that impact you mentally, getting all those no's?
Um, well, it's actually quite an interesting topic of discussion because you and I were saying earlier how I found 2021 so much harder than 2020. And I think you go through hard times for if you come out of it as a season of growth and as a season of learning. And I think you face hardships, whether they might be personal to you, something mentally or emotionally that you might be going through at that time, that something you need to face and go through. And that's kind of just what it's been. I asked myself last week, I was sitting journaling and I asked myself why, when I was younger, was it so much easier for me to accept a no? So when I was, 17, 18, 19 and coming into the industry and auditioning for things, and why when people told me no, was I just like, oh, okay, sweet, whatever, I'm just going to audition for something else. Whereas now I get so emotionally invested and I get so invested into these projects and I get told no. And I'm like, well, it's the end of the world. I'm never going to work ever again. And I don't know if it's, as much being like tainted by the world and by people's opinion and by living up to expectation, or, getting older and thinking you have less time on the clock, or, but whatever it is, all these different factors that start to play a role. So I'd say back then when I was getting told no and you're dealing with like rejection, I don't really call it rejection, but you're dealing with rejection in the industry. Then it was a little bit easier. I think now you kind of start to develop a career and you start to, realize that, oh, this is my passion, this is my purpose, and this is the, the journey that I'm about to walk. And it feels like there's a little bit more on the line,
Yeah.
And so I've kind of had to spend time every year to just like reassess where I'm at mentally, and kind of walk myself through what had happened that year and walk myself through where I am now in life and what's next and how am I going to handle it and how am I going to face the challenge ahead. So
was there times when you really were struggling, like no money or any of that?
Dude, more than I can count. I think I'm trying to. So after the first film I did, I'll give you a good example. So after the first film I did, it was called Journey is the Destination. Incredible film. Did it with Ben Schnetzer, Ella Purnell, a lot of guys that are very, very special to me. I love them with all my heart, and they're all doing very, very well now. Just a great group of people to learn from, like being a young dude coming straight in, wanting to do it, having the passion for it, but never having had any experience. It was just 1 3-month learning curve of just like suck in all the information you can, and try keep up with all the big guys, and give it everything you have. And I came out of that with the mindset of an 18-year-old kid in South Africa that finally booked his first film and was like, I've made it, like everything's just uphill from here on out, like I'm just going to keep booking movies. Like, from like 8, 9 years old, that's all I wanted. My whole life was to be on, be in film. And then you finally get handed it and you're like, oh, this is it. Like, bring me another movie. Let's make money. Let's do it. Let's move overseas. And within 3 months after booking that movie, I'd blown all my money on the most ridiculous shit. And then I spent a year waitering, bartending, working in supplement shops. Didn't book a single gig for a year. And the US government was just like, no, it's not going to happen, dude. And so didn't get to do that either. So it was just one massive like collection of.
The last bit I heard was your bartending.
Yeah. We got up to, I was waitering and bartending and didn't book anything for a year. And that was the first lesson of many that I learned.
Yeah, too easy. Yeah, because I guess people seem to forget, like they see actors at the top of their game and then they forget like they started at the bottom. They go through rough patches up and down. They just forget that, and then they put shit on you over social media. Have you copped shit from people before?
That's a good question. When the first Kissing Booth came out, there was like a small portion of people that were very, very upset that I smacked a girl's bum in a movie. And like, rightly so, if it wasn't a movie, like kind of got told to do that, so like it was a little bit of that. But I think other than that, like it's been pretty chilled. We started the vlog, and a mate of mine on the vlog got given quite a bit of heat, but he was seeing a girl and mentioned another date that he went on, and so that kind of, I said to him, "You shot yourself in the foot there, dude." Stupid shit like that. But yeah, I think like not really, and I say this very like cautiously, like touch wood, because I really don't want to have to deal with that. I just try not to invite drama. It's usually spurred on by something. So I try not to react, try not to like, cause any trouble. Again, I'm just a dude trying to make it, I'm not trying to be like anything fancy or anything more than I am. So people calling me out is, if someone does, cool, I guess. But I've been lucky up until now.
Yeah, fuck them. They're just keyboard warriors anyway.
Oh, dude, it's the worst, eh? Like there's a lot of like really, really good guys that I've had the privilege of working with or ever having met that are just genuinely good people, and people just annihilate them online, and it doesn't make any sense to me. I don't, at the end of the day, because of social media, because things have opened up so much, what is fame anymore? Like I don't think there's much worth to it, or you know what I'm saying? Like YouTubers are more famous than actors, and then there's musicians and sportsmen and whatever. And so the world's opened up. So anyone copying any form of like negativity or getting called out or getting, cancelled or whatever, like it's hard on everyone. It's not hard on someone just because they're an actor, just because they're an actress. Like it sucks for everyone. No one likes, being told that they suck, or no one likes having their family threatened, like stupid shit like that. That's just like, it has nothing to do with fame. It has nothing to do with what career you have. At the end of the day, we're all people and we're all human, and getting told that kind of shit hurts. And unfortunately, there's just people that like to do that, so
yeah,
I guess we've got to deal with them.
Comes down to their own insecurities and then trying to push that onto other people.
Exactly.
Now, obviously, you're goal driven, you want to get to the top. How do you navigate through, relationships and have a healthy balance?
That's a good question. Do you mean like relationships in industry, or like personal relationships among like family?
Personal,
partners,
industry, everything. Like, how do you balance it all whilst trying to get to the top?
Industry relationships I find a lot more complicated and a lot more tricky, but mainly just because I've like dipped my toes in the industry and I'm still learning. So yeah, as I said, I've been very lucky to work with some very, very, very talented people that I love and adore and admire a lot. So working with people like that it's always great. I've been lucky that every set I've been on, the people have been fantastic. They've been hard workers. They've been gracious. They've been, like willing to teach and willing to learn, and it's been amazing. So I hope that's how things continue to go in industry. Just to continue work with people that just love working and just love what they do and are passionate about the art of it. Personally, I think that was also a bit of a learning curve. So like I keep my family and partner and everything quite private, just because I don't want to put that out to a level where it gives people the chance to use that against me. I don't want people to have anything to say about my mom or my sister or my girlfriend or anyone for that matter. Like that kind of thing. It's my safe space. It's my place where nothing else matters. I don't have to worry about my phone. I don't have to worry about people. I just genuinely sit with family, sit with a partner, sit with like my tight friends, and no one cares about what they do. No one cares about where they are in life. Everyone just likes hanging out together. Everyone just gives a shit. So I've tried to keep that as private as possible. And I think by keeping it private, it's helped me to kind of navigate it a little bit better. I think the tricky thing for someone that's in my position now, who's still trying to make it and enjoying it and, walking the road towards getting to where they want to, it's different challenges. Whereas if you were someone that's made it in the industry and booking tons of movies and earning lots of money and traveling the world and busy 24/7, that's a completely different struggle. So right now, I have to rely heavily on close friends and partner and family to carry me through the times that aren't good. And that's what becomes so important. So people ask often why I don't ever share about my family or my girlfriend or my friends or whatever. And it's mainly a pretty selfish reason, in that that's who I go to when things are hard, when I'm struggling, when I feel like I don't, have a lot going for me, or I feel like I'm not going anywhere, or I get told no again, or I emotionally invest in a project that doesn't happen, or like silly things that sound mundane, but when they last 3-4 weeks, it's a long time of your life to wake up every morning being like, oh shit, why am I doing this? So by keeping that stuff private and keeping that mine, keeping it to myself, it keeps them away from all the drama, and makes it easy for them to carry me and to be the shoulder for me, And then when times are good, then repay the favor, lots of beer and lots of tequila, and everyone has a good time and, kind of hangs out and like enjoys the high, and starts to sit around and goes, okay, how are we going to make this last? What's the next step? So I think that kind of answers your question, right? Of like how I've navigated both sides of relationship. Yeah.
Yeah, it's great. Like, you need that support network, especially if you are trying to get to the top. You need those people supporting you and pushing you. You can't have people dragging you down in your life.
Yeah. No, you can't. And the people that are trying to drag you down, I don't want those people dragging down my family as well. So I just kind of try my best to keep it separate. I think that's healthy. I think it's a good way to do it, at least for me personally. And yeah, as we go forward and book more and move and travel and, take on this career, hopefully, Lord please, it'll be great. Up till now, it's been awesome. And yeah, keep those people with you, keep them as your foundation and as your go-to. And, without family, you've got a strong family foundation.
Yeah, 100%. It takes a team to get to the top.
It does. 100%. And I think, family doesn't have to be blood. You're just really blessed if it is. And so we've been able to build like a pretty dope foundation. I'm happy with the friends and family that I have. I understand and acknowledge the importance of them as well. And then, like meeting people, like I consider people like yourself, a lot of the musician friends that I have as well, like people like that, like in industry, just solidly good people, just like good people, I don't know if you know the band Pucker Up.
No, I haven't heard of them.
They're actually an Aussie band. I love them so much. I listen to a lot of Aussie music. It's really, really good rock. I love it so much. I listen to like the Chats as well, like quite a bit. Dune Rats and all those boys as well. So like there's so many good people in the industry, people that are just, again, just trying their best and having fun doing it along the way. And just try to keep your eyes focused on that rather than focused on the struggles.
100%. Now, on the whole acting thing, I've got a question for you. When you're playing a character, how do you get into character and I guess make that your reality?
So I think for Kissing Booth, obviously, as big as the blessing as it was and as big of a breakthrough as it was, it wasn't like I was, portraying something that was, like I wasn't playing a drug addict, or something along those lines. So getting into character there was purely just the chemistry and the people on set, getting along with each other, which was obviously made very easy because they're great people. But I recently did a show for a streaming service in Africa called Lioness, where I had to play a drug addict, the oldest son in a family that goes through a bit of shit and kind of, turns to drugs and kind of chooses, that way to deal with it. I think that was the first time that I'd portrayed something that was like really, really emotionally taxing. And it took me a good month or two afterwards to kind of be like, okay, I can't pretend like everything is normal. I need to acknowledge what I've just done for 4 months and kind of, take the precautions and put the steps in place to be like, hey, how do I handle everyday life and coming back to normal and not letting this, hurt me emotionally more than what it should. So I think that was the first experience that, relates to answering your question. You obviously get, taught a bunch of different techniques and a bunch of different ways to get there and to come out and to do what you got to do. I kind of, there's so many different ways to do it, but like for me, I think there's a certain sense of empathy that has to happen with the character, right? So, obviously to like really, really, really understand your guy, understand his whys, who he is, why he is that way, what decisions does he make, and experiencing a sense of empathy for why he makes those decisions. It's like I can't remember who it was in the interview that I watched, but when people play a bad guy, like when you play like a really bad person, how do you put yourself in a headspace to do that? And I can't remember who it was that answered, so shout out to whoever it was, but said it was finding a sense of empathy even in someone that is, portrayed to be a really, really bad person. Everyone's got a reasoning, everyone's got a why as to why they behave the way they do, or say the things they do, or act the way they do. And a friend of mine recently told me, when you're struggling with a situation or struggling with someone, treating you like shit or whatever it is, it's always 5 whys. Someone cuts you off in traffic. Why is he cutting me off in traffic? No, he's cutting me off because he's late. Okay, why is he running late? No, him and his wife got into an argument this morning and their marriage really isn't that stable. And I know I'm being dramatic and I'm giving you a really bad example, but like doing that kind of thing helps so much into like understanding different people. And I kind of do that with on set as well. Character makes a decision, character turns to drugs. Why does the character turn to drugs? Well, because he's struggling with this and this and this and family. And as I have a strong family foundation, he doesn't have it. So if you have no strong family foundation, you've got some money in the bank because your uncle's looking after you. What else do you turn to? You don't have anyone. So like kind of making those decisions and putting yourself in those shoes. There's like, I don't want to make it sound like I'm the best thing ever. Like I'm genuinely just still learning. So that's what's helped me this far. There's still so much that I'm learning and I'm trying to get right. But that's helped me a lot, is finding a sense of empathy for that character and kind of putting yourself in their shoes. It's the best way to do it.
Yeah, it would be so hard because like you're so invested in that character, in being that character for however long it takes to, record the movie. Like you hear stories of people that just don't come out and they get stuck in that character after the movie's recorded. It's fucking crazy.
Mm. Yeah, I think there's such talented people in this industry. To get invested so hard into something that it changes who you are as a person in day to day is insane. It's beautiful and it's also dangerous at the same time. I think people that do that, well, one, I think Hollywood projects a certain understanding of that. I think everything that happened with the Joker and with Heath Ledger and everything, what I don't like that they did was that they tainted him and they painted him out to be this like drug addict, messed up person from the Joker, and that wasn't the case at all. The guy was damn good at his job, and he portrayed something that is so hard for us to fathom that we have to find excuses. And look, that's always going to be my number one go-to example is what he did and accomplished. And did it have an effect on him? Yeah, probably. But I don't think it was as much effect as it was just doing a damn good job. I think he had his personal struggles and had his own stuff that he was dealing with, and that has nothing to do with anyone else. I think watch the movie, understand and admire the performance and cool. But at the same time, there's obviously real factors to it, right? Like it would take, and if like I know that Charlie Hunnam, and I hope I'm saying that correctly, that did Sons of Anarchy. That dude's such a badass. Like to meet him one day, like over a beer, would be insane. I should actually start saying these things more often on like shows like this, so that one day when it happens, I look back and I'm like, sick, man.
Put it out into the universe.
Exactly. There we go. So one day we'll sit and have a beer with Charlie Hunnam. And he just seems like a guy's guy. He seems like a solid dude. And he did Sons of Anarchy for however many seasons they did it. And he also at the end of it came out saying, like, yep, things had changed for him. Like things that obviously when you're on a show for that long, it's a lot of years of growth as a human. But now all of that has this underlying factor of, no, dude, you're actually someone else on that show for that many years. And he came out of it being like, dude, I should take some time and just take a break. Completely understand that. Do what you got to do. You also did a damn good job. It's tricky being in an industry and having a career and a job that relies on your mental state as well as everything else. I don't know what it's like in other industries really, but I know that for this one, for sure, for a fact. Yeah,
it's sad to see, especially when the whole world's kind of looking at you. You've played a character so well, and then you're struggling, but then people don't care.
Yeah. It's like I have to take hats off to Jacob Elordi. Obviously, we did Kissing Booth together, and he's an Aussie actor. He did such a damn good job on Euphoria. It was incredible. He went balls to the wall, and like no one could have done that better. Such a damn talented kid. Like hats off. And you watch something like that, and that's like that's a hard thing to pull off. Yeah. So I respect that kind of thing so much.
Now, playing certain characters, like you mentioned before, like a drug addict, have you learnt anything about yourself, or you realize how grateful you are for the life that you have playing those kind of characters?
Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, for sure. I think I'm trying to like compartmentalize my answer. So learning about myself, I can't remember where I wrote it. I think I wrote it in a journal where I said that it was on a post in my private account. I said that playing Liam, who the drug addict was, playing Liam. Trying to understand how I want to word this. Like, there's so much that I learned about me playing him that walking away from the show and finishing the first season was like quite a heartbreaking feeling. And usually I've personally feel that after every project. I hate finishing. And there's so much that I learned from myself, and I came in being like, I have to portray this correctly, and I have to throw as much at it as possible, because I felt like I had something to prove, like there was something that I had to prove, that I could carry this kind of character, and I left being like, oh shit, like I didn't give anything. I received so much playing this role. There was so much that I learned about me. I mean, obviously I learned don't do drugs, right? Because it just doesn't end well, right? In that case. But also like you kind of get given, because I did a lot of research into people that go through that and people that struggle with that and unfortunately have to deal with, addiction. People go through some hard shit. I came out of it understanding that like life's hard, dude. Life really, really is hard. And some people are handed a really hard deck of cards and they got to learn how to play with it. And people that deal with addiction and deal with drug abuse and deal with stuff like that come from such broken places, that life almost seemingly forces them to make decisions that none of us should have to. Like that's hard. It's a hard life that people have to live through. And I really just wanted the character to do those people justice. And we read the pilot, and it was really, really well written. And I really, really fell in love with the character off the first episode. And I remember sitting with my girlfriend, sitting down with it, and I went, I have to get this role. I have to take it. And obviously we spin on the why, and why, what's my meaning behind it. I never want to have to take a job just because it's a job. Unfortunately, sometimes you have to do that, but you want to try as much as you can to find a deeper meaning and, leave an impact and have a positive impact on something or someone. And I felt like this could be that, that hopefully there'd be the kids sitting somewhere having to make those decisions, and struggling with life in a way that character does, that watches it and goes, shit, like, one, I'm not alone, and two, like, there's a way around it, or there's a way to make things better, at least a little bit. So yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing that you say that, because that's basically like the same reason why I do this podcast. So if people listening realize, fuck, I'm not alone here. Like, I'm going through the same shit as, some of my guests, and it's like, fuck, I can reach out, I can talk about my feelings and try and, fix my issues and get on the right path. And that's all I try to do, is help at least one person. That's all you can try and do, really.
Yeah, I think, look, all I can do with this kind of thing, or anyone for that matter, is just put the effort in, put some stuff out there, get some knowledge and some wisdom out of it, and put something out. Dude, changing one person's life, what did it take? It took us an hour to sit down and have a conversation, and you're a solid fucking dude, So, like, it's not like this is enjoyable. This is what I love doing, meeting people like yourself. And in us chatting for an hour or 2 hours or however long, we are able to, dude, if we impact one person, sick. Like, that's one guy. All we had to do was sit and chat. And like, I didn't know when I started out that mental health was going to become such a focus for me. And I remember as a teenager not really being affected by much, like, mentally, or at least not thinking that I was. Just kind of being, cool, whatever. Just very lucky, I guess, just to be very lucky in my situation, to have a solid family and to have people that were there to support and back me through anything that I might have faced. And then you kind of get older, and the world takes its toll, and you kind of learn as you go, and you try to navigate through life. So mental health started becoming a huge focus of mine, for myself personally, but also just for other people. And that's why the role and that time of my life matched up perfectly, to be like, hey, this is meant to be, and the right impact to be leaving, I hope.
Yeah, like, I think as a society, like, we're really naive to mental health, unless it actually impacts us. Like, we don't think it really happens, but the sad reality is nearly a lot of people are going through shit every day, whether that be drug addiction, alcohol, depression. Like, everyone's going through something at some level, and as long as, like, myself or you, like, we can help at wherever we can, that's all that matters.
Dude, I think you spot on. I think drug addiction, dude, alcohol. Like, I think the hardest part of it is the questions. I think, someone struggling emotionally, sent out with anxiety. You don't know if you have anxiety. There's no, like, telltale. You don't wake up one morning and it's written on your arm and I have anxiety. Oh shit, okay, that's what it's been. Oh, okay, great. Now, you don't know. It's hard to take what's happening in here and portray it in a way that makes other people experiencing the same thing go, oh, this is what it is. Like, A, B, C, done. There you go. Here's the solution. Here's the problem. Continue with life. Like, we don't know how to do that fully yet. I think we're getting there, and I think mental health is becoming more of a focus. Dude, it's so good. Like, this for me is quite a cathartic experience, to sit down with someone like yourself who's so open, and so willing to hear stories, and so willing to help and to share. To sit and chat like this, like, I always leave from something like this going like, damn, I feel so much better now, and hopefully someone listens to it and thinks the same thing. Because we might not have, like, definitive answers. We might not have the yes and the no's, but I can guarantee you, out of a conversation like this, someone's going to listen and be like, yeah, I've also felt like that sometimes.
Yeah, 100%. And I love that. Like, me personally, I haven't gone through mental health issues. Like, obviously we have our ups and downs days, but I haven't personally experienced it. But I realized, like, through doing podcasting and having guests on, how many people actually do get affected by mental health. And I was like, all right, shit, I have a platform here. Let's use it for good. Let's spread the messages of people. And impact like the guests and whoever decides to tune in.
Dude, it's also great that someone like yourself that doesn't, necessarily have something that impacting them daily, like meant to be like, hey, like I might not be on the same page as you, but shit, I'm here to listen and talk and understand and showcase you other people that you might be able to relay with, you know. You create such a good network by doing that, and you connect people in a way that we haven't been able to before. There might be someone on the other side of the world that feels 99% of what I feel, and they come as a guest on your show, and there you go, there's a connection made. And people need other people. People rely on that. People will go, okay, I'm going to follow that guy's story, or I'm going to invest into time into who that person is and start to understand what they're doing and how they battle it. Because if they battle it that way, maybe that works for me too. And then there's my solution. There's my yes and no. And that yes and no is only coming from communicating and from other people around them that they can relate with.
Yeah, we just, as a society, we just have to try and understand. Like, we're not fully going to understand, especially if we're not going through it ourselves. But if you put yourself out there to try and understand and listen to the other person's story, I feel like society would be a way better place.
For sure. Dude, it's just taking the time to sit down, right?
100%. Now, you're obviously well known. What are the pros and cons of being well known?
Oh, damn, dude, these are good questions. So, okay, there's a good way to answer this, I swear. So, off the bat, like, I really struggle with considering myself well known. I don't know if that's an ego thing. I don't know if it's a supposed humility thing. I don't know what it is. I think it's also quite a goal-driven thing. Like, I haven't achieved what I really want to. I haven't gotten to where I want to. And I battle often with the idea of, like imposter syndrome. Like, I'm here and I've done a little bit of something, and then, people are giving you attention, and I'm like, I don't deserve that. And that's a silly mindset. It's stupid to think that way. And that's why I'd rather just spend my time being grateful and, trying to be humble about it, and like acknowledge it and welcome it on anyone that does, happen to know who I am. So positives, dude, there's so many positives. You connect with people, you meet new people, going out and having people be like, hey, are you so-and-so? And you're like, oh, let's have a beer together. Like, I genuinely love people. And again, I'm grateful, and, been wanting to do this since I was 8 years old. So the 8-year-old inside of me is like, oh, you've seen me on the TV. Like, that's like, my brain still doesn't fathom that. And I'm excited for what's to come. Negatives. I think expectation. So like the biggest negative for me that I'm trying to actively deal with is, I think that because I'm so grateful for it, and because I'm so like, oh, finally, thank you, I don't deserve this, but I'll take it, and I'll be, like, thank you all the time. When it feels like things are slowing down, then I attach a lot of self-worth to that slowdown, which I shouldn't do, but it's hard not to do that. So it kind of becomes a thing, and it sounds extremely arrogant, but it starts becoming a thing of like, when you go somewhere and people don't notice you, then it becomes a thing of like, oh, okay, have things like slowed down for me? Or again, like social media, like your following goes down, or like your likes go less, which is ridiculous. But you start to see things like that, and you're like, oh, does this mean that my career is slowing down? Like, am I not doing well anymore? Like, oh shit, I need to book more jobs. Like, I need to be busy all the time. I need to be busy 24/7. People need to always be able to see me. And it's silly, and it's ridiculous to think and feel that way, but it happens. I'm not going to pretend like it doesn't. And that is no one else's fault except my own. It's just handling that expectation on myself and being like, I do this because I want to. I'm in this career because I love it and I'm passionate about it, and I'll continue to fight for it for as long as I live. I know in my heart and soul that I cannot walk away from this career and this passion, because I believe this is my purpose, is to be doing this. So show must go on, and it has to, roll the punches, and it has to keep going. I do not do this so that other people can acknowledge me, or so that people notice me, or that, like, if that was why I wanted to do it, then I probably would have gone into something in social media and become an influencer and wanted people to check me out without a shirt on and whatever. And like, nothing wrong with that. That's just not my vibe. And like, I do it because I love it. And sometimes you forget that, sometimes you forget that you love it. And it becomes more of a focus of like, let's book more, let's do more, let's make more money, let's do, and you want to play the game and make all the right moves. And I truly believe that those moves will not happen until you're focusing on the passion and the mental state and yourself, self-help and self-health. Then the rest will come.
Yeah. I can totally agree. Like, I went for a period with my podcast there, and I was just so focused on the numbers and the views, and I was like, oh fuck, I'm not getting the views that I want. And it made me like think, fuck, am I doing the right thing here? And then I just had to take a step back and be like, you know what, like, this is my passion, this is what I enjoy. Fuck the numbers. As long as I'm trying to help someone, good's going to come off the back of that. And ever since then, like, my podcast has grown. I'm getting bigger guests on, like yourself. It's just about not caring so much about the numbers. Yes, it feels good to get all those views and likes and whatever else, but if you just focus on your passion, as I say, good shit's going to happen off the back of it.
Exactly, dude. I agree. Like, hats off to you for realizing that for yourself, dude. It's just like, when you get into a space where it is just numbers and it is just success and it is just trying to make it. It's important to take a step back and look at that. And I haven't been very good at doing that. So I respect that you've been able to do that. And look, dude, numbers are important. People think it is important because at the end of the day, this is what you do. It's what you love. Like contracts, money, it is important. It is. It's a factor of life. It's business. At the end of the day, it's what you do. It's your job. It's your career. And it's there to be taken seriously. Does that need to be the driving force and the reason why you do something? Never, ever, ever. If you're in a position where you can do what you love and make money out of it, that's awesome. Is that why you do it? No. But if it happens, shit, welcome it with open arms, So hats off to you, dude, for realizing that about like becoming a little bit too focused on the numbers, because everyone does that.
Yeah.
Everyone goes through those stages.
Yeah, and I feel like shit always goes wrong when you place money or material things or likes above your happiness. Shit always goes wrong.
There we go, dude. Yeah, I think I had to take a step back a week or two ago and just kind of like reassess the headspace I was in, because I was just digging myself a hole of like, I have to make this move and this move and this. And like, if people like look at the list of goals that I've written down for myself, they'd be like, dude, this is absolutely ridiculous. So there's always pressure and stress on it. But, as you say, relay back to why you do this. And also just trust that things will work out. You know what I'm saying? Like, I've got a tattoo done. My dad and I got this together on my 21st. It says surrender. And that's been my biggest thing to learn, is just surrendering what my purpose is and what my love and passion is. Just let it go. Like, work your ass off. Like, work nonstop. Work all the time. I don't like this thing where everyone's like, to be successful, you need to never sleep. I'm like, dude, don't tell me that shit. What was that other speech that they gave where they said, it was about Beyonce, I think. And they were like, Beyonce was so focused that she forgot to eat. For 5 days, she forgot to eat. And I was like, that's awesome. Like, great. Like, but dude, I get hungry. Like, I eat like every 2-3 hours. Like, that doesn't mean I'm not going to be successful. You know what I'm saying? And I understand that there's a deeper meaning and message to it. I just find it funny when people take that stuff very literally.
Yeah.
But just surrendering it, trust that it's going to work out. like what you're doing with the podcast. You're making such a positive impact and you're reaching so many people. There's no ways that cannot be meant to be. You know what I'm saying? Like it's one helping you, and it's meeting the needs and wants and passions that you as an individual have. But you're also helping so many other people, and you're bringing so many people together and connecting people and telling stories. Like, there's no ways that won't be successful. There's no ways that like won't become big. You know what I'm saying? Like it's like, just surrender, like work hard. And once you're done working and you put the pen down, surrender it and be like, cool, this is what it's going to be. Yeah.
100% there. Like,
and sleep.
Yeah, sleep. Stay in your own lane. Like, what works for you, what works for Beyonce, or whoever else, may not work for yourself. You just got to focus on what works for you. If you need eight hours of sleep a night, get your fucking 8 hours of sleep a night, and then work for the rest of those hours during the day.
Exactly. Look, I think, like, I mean, damn, Beyonce's Beyonce.
Yeah.
Like, queen. Hats off. She's an absolute legend. But I'm sure she had days where she didn't want to get out of bed. Or days where she really struggled, or days where she was like, damn, why am I doing this? Maybe not now, maybe at the beginning. Now she's got different struggles. So, are there times where you don't sleep? Yeah, for sure. When we're on set, we don't get much sleep, but I'm happy to be there and I love being there. They could be like, Josh, you're not sleeping for a week. I'd be like, cool, as long as we get a Red Bull sponsor, everyone's stoked, So like it happens. Can you do that 24/7? No, not a chance. You'll burn out within a month, and you'll need 2 weeks off. You'll need 2 weeks to rest, where you literally just sleep day in and day out. And, now there's 2 weeks gone. Plus, don't try to force something that's going to happen without you. You know what I'm saying? I can't force my career to move faster than what it is. You can't force your podcast to grow faster than what it is. It's growing. It's moving forward. It's getting there. You know what I'm saying? But like, the universe and fate and, whatever it is has a plan. There's a plan, and it's going and it's moving. Trust in that. Sit in that and let it move. There's so many times, and again, that's why I have surrendered. And there's so many times I'm the kind of person that's very, very, very goal driven. And so I'll wake up every morning being like, okay, today I'm going to do 9 things that when I wake up tomorrow morning, I'm in a completely different position. Like, I'm going to email this person. I'm going to phone this person. I'm going to email and find out about this and do this and work at this and sit up all night editing and this and this and this. And I wake up the next day and things are still the same. I've moved forward, but mentally it's not acceptable because I'm not where I said I would be, And so mentally I backtrack and I think I'm moving forward when actually all I'm doing is just hindering myself at the end of the day. So, I mean, these are things that I'm actively still learning not to do. I haven't figured it out, but I'm getting there. Yeah.
You just got to trust the process. Like, my favorite quote at the moment is, life happens for you, not to you. Everything happens for a reason.
I read that, I think last week, that life happens for you, not to you. And I told myself that every morning, like, since I read it. So it's crazy bringing it up. I love that. I love it when something like that happens.
That's my new favorite quote. Every time shit gets hard, I say that to myself, and it just fucking gets me back on path.
There we go, dude. And it's like, that whole saying of like, fake it till you make it. And that's because I'm the kind of person that's goal driven and like things are never good enough. I genuinely had to start by fake it till you make it. So I had to fake it by waking up every morning being like, life happens for me, not to me. Like, this is happening for a reason. Do I believe it? No. To be honest, in the back of my head, I'm like, fuck that. Like, why me? And yeah, as I said, I'm actively trying to work on this stuff. And then, by doing that, by telling it every morning, by drilling it, because the brain's just a muscle, right? You got to teach it. You got to teach it to think that way. And so that's kind of what I am trying to do. I started doing meditating for like 10 minutes every morning. I have quiet time. I listen to sermons and podcasts and lectures and talks and everything all the time to, just like draw off information from other people as well. So actively trying.
Yeah, like, your brain doesn't know what's real, what's fake. If you keep telling it something, you're going to believe it.
Exactly, dude. Exactly. You have to manifest it. You have to.
It's just like those murderers, for example. They murder someone and they keep telling themselves, "I didn't do this. I didn't do this." They go on a lie detector and they pass it because they believe it now.
Yeah, it's crazy, dude. There's like, oh, there's so many stories of like where people's mentality and people's mindset have altered the way that they've physically behaved or performed. It's crazy. I know that because I'm super into like weightlifting and powerlifting and bodybuilding and stuff like that. I love it. It's the coolest thing ever to me. And when Eddie Hall did the world's heaviest deadlift at the 500 kilo, he had I think a psychologist or like a mental coach or something train him just as much as he was physically training up into like completing the lift. And they'd taught him how to put himself in a headspace where adrenaline and endorphins and everything would kick off that would help him to utilize a lot more of his mind muscle connection and his brain capacity than what would be needed. So like if I told you, hey, your mom's trapped under that car and she's going to die, pick up the car. It sounds crazy, but you pick up the car. And that's kind of the story that he had to paint for himself, was that if he doesn't pick up that bar, you know, his wife's in trouble. And he tells the story in an interview somewhere. But it's like, if I don't pick up the bar, then my wife's in trouble. My wife's going to die. And bet your ass that guy picks up that bar. Like, it's the coolest thing ever. Yeah.
Yeah, fuck, psychology in the brain is so bloody interesting, man. Like,
dude, it's amazing.
Like, your body is capable of anything if you put your mind to it. And it's bloody crazy.
Yeah, for sure. Dude, and it sounds like some like esoteric make believe, you know, Narnia world thing of like, oh, if my brain says, you know, run through the wall, my body can, you know, like obviously we're going to take it to that extreme. There's always going to be people that'll do that. But that's what it becomes. And like we all have this belief in like fate or manifesting or like the power of attract or the law of attraction, at least, you know, stuff like that. It all is a thing. It all does exist. I believe strongly in writing down your goals and circling them as well. And actually 2 days ago, I told myself I need to do it again, where I write down my goals. So it'll be like relationship wise or family wise or personal. And I try to force myself to write those before I write my like career inverted comma ones, because as soon as I think of writing goals, I think of career and I think of money and I think of going overseas and I think of the next role that I'd love to do. I think of having my own business. I think of my own production. I think of everything. And I put me and my mental state and the people in my life that are important to me, put that first. What's the goal with that? Now let's write what my money or business or career goals or whatever they are, and writing them out and then circling them, and folding that piece of paper up and putting it somewhere and forgetting about it and just leaving it. I've done that once or twice, and it's actually scary when you find that piece of paper again. Whenever I find it, I don't go looking for it. I don't give myself a date or a time or a certain period that has to, you know, pass by. I just leave it until I find it again, and I, you know, open it up and I read the goals that I wrote down when I was 19, and I'm like, oh my word, you know, this is crazy. That's a great feeling. Yeah.
Fuck, that's awesome that you do that.
Yeah, it's I can't remember where I read it or heard it that someone was doing that and let's try it. Yeah, it's really cool. There was what talk it was listening to the other day where they were saying how an actor was saying how he'd sign in a movie and the movie would release and the opening numbers would not be good, and it would make money, but it was nothing like, oh, wow, like, you know, it was no like Avatar box office gross or you know, anything like that. And he'd be grateful for the work. He'd love what he does. He'd be passionate, or I mean, he or she, whatever. There was a guy talking, and he'd look at the numbers and be like, oh shit, you know, the numbers are bad, and catch himself doing that and laugh at it and go, do you think the 8-year-old me, who all that kid wanted to do his whole life was be in a movie, would sit down and look at the fucking numbers and go, oh damn, you know, like, what? Like, dude, you're in a movie. This is what you love. This is what you do. You know, like, look, there is reality to the numbers and there's reality to success, and we all want it. But like, I'm just trying to like keep that perspective of like, dude, when I was 8 years old, like never did I ever think I'd be sitting on a podcast with you and having these conversations and being, meeting people like yourself. Like never, never, ever, ever. So like things happen.
Yep. And we forget to look back at how far we've bloody come.
Dude, we always looking forward, going like, oh, what haven't I done yet? Instead of looking back and going, oh, I've done this, this, this. Yeah.
And it's crazy how much growth that you can get in a year as well. Like a few times I've looked back and I'm like, holy fuck, like I've done all this in 12 months time. It's crazy.
Yeah, exactly, dude. I think, yeah, and that's like, I actually, on telling you about writing down goals, I can't remember when was the last time I wrote them down, but I wrote them down, I think beginning of last year or something. And I must actually revisit that and find it again, because looking back, so I do this thing where every birthday, my birthday's on the 18th of December. So right at the end of the year, and it's a blessing and a curse. It's a blessing because it's right at the end of the year, so we can celebrate nice and hard a week before Christmas. So we just go birthday all the way through to Christmas, and it's the greatest 2 weeks ever. But it's also a bit of a curse is the wrong word. It's also like a little bit of a hindering because it's at the end of the year and I'm turning a year older, and it makes me look at the whole year I've just had and go like, did I do enough before I turned a year older? Like I had Jan to December. I had exactly a year before I'm a year older. And like, what did I do with it? Like, did I sufficiently do enough, or did I hold back? Was my June, July, August a waste of time? Did I work too hard in January? And again, this is just all the things that someone who overthinks does. But yeah, at the end of every year, I always get to my birthday, turn a year older, and I go like, okay, what have I done that is going to make 25 so much better? Always going to make 26 so much, like what foundation have I put down for myself for this year to come? Yeah, hopefully that keeps working.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I bet COVID would have thrown a spanner in the works when you looked back at your goals.
Oh, dude, COVID's a bitch. I think, yeah, COVID was a hard one. It was, so it started badly because I told you before we started recording that we were in Canada, and one of my best friends in the whole world, we were in school together in grade 9 and 10, when I lived in Pretoria City in South Africa, when I lived there for a year or two. And I loved him and one or two other mates. Were like a group of mates with my entire heart and soul. And he moved to America when I left that city. So I left the city, moved back to Cape Town, and his family moved to Boston. And they've been living in Boston ever since. And I made him a promise when we were 18. I made him a promise, and I was like, dude, one day we will be in the same city. Like it will happen. Like we're manifesting it from now that one day we're going to live in the same city as grown-ups, earning money, having a life, but we will be in the same city again. And when we went to Canada, because he's in Boston and Toronto is like right there, it's like a 2-hour flight or something ridiculous. The plan was to do Vancouver, and for the final 2 weeks, do 2 weeks in Toronto with him. And I haven't seen him in 8 years. And it'll be the first time we see each other. I'm going to have 2 weeks together in a foreign city and just go balls to the wall. And like, we knew we were going to go so balls to the wall that I fasted alcohol for, was it a week or 2 weeks? For 2 weeks before going to Toronto. I was like, I'm fasting alcohol. I'm getting all the alcohol out of my system because I know we're just going to go ham. We were going to watch, I've never watched a baseball game or an ice hockey game or whatever. So we booked 3 games, basketball, a baseball, and an ice hockey game in the space of 1 week. And we're like, okay, we're just going to do everything we've missed out on for the past 8 years. And fucking COVID hit. And we had to call each other, and he was like, dude, I can't get on a plane. Like they're not allowing me to cross the border. And we were like, well, like we kind of getting told to leave the country. And so we missed each other. And I was devastated. It was like my number one on the list of 5 things I had to do while I was in Canada was see him, and I didn't get to do it. So that's how COVID started for us. And then we arrived back in Cape Town. We had to quarantine for 2 weeks in a little apartment in town. And it's like looking back now, like such good times. And is COVID a good time? No, I hate it. But like I look back and I'm like, you know, us floor in the Turkish airport, everything was getting cancelled. And then to Joburg, one was to Joburg, one was to Cape Town in South Africa, I ate it out. And like stories like that, I look back and I'm like, you know, it's cool stories to have. And it's just life. That's life, dude. Like things go the way they're gonna go. COVID was a huge spanner. It was no one saw this coming. Yeah, it's crazy. It's horrible.
Mm-hmm. Did you have any gigs lined up that got cancelled?
I think I did. I think I did. So there was a gig that I had of me getting my work visa, Canada, meet with the team, that sign off the paperwork, come back home to South Africa. I work visa paperwork out, fill out everything and send it off and everything's done. So we gave ourselves a good 3 months of being in Canada to like really experience the place, see if it's what we actually like, experience that we were there in the middle of winter. So experience the cold for the first time because we don't get cold like that here. And just like properly invest time and money into like making this move. And had COVID not happened, which again, this is now a hypothetical conversation and doesn't really mean much, but had COVID not happened, that would have been the goal. Come home, apply for the work visa and go back. And there was something in the works that I was very excited for, which, you know, ended up not happening, obviously. But roll the punches, eh? So now I've got to wait a little bit longer. I think I have to wait like another 2, maybe 3 months before I can put my paperwork in, just because, yeah, COVID's just that much of a nightmare.
Bloody bitch it is.
Dude, hate it so much. But like, yeah, there's been people that have been drastically affected by it, so we just keep them in mind, you know, and understand that we have to put these precautions in place for a reason. So roll with the punches.
Exactly. Is there any positives that you've taken out of that whole 12 months or so?
Quite a few, I think. I learned how to stay at home, like to just like keep myself busy. I'm horrible at it. I'm extremely codependent. I can't ever be by myself, and I've acknowledged that, and it's who I am, and I don't think it will ever change. So that's just what it is. I'm not one of those guys that are like, you know, can hang by themselves and like randomly go somewhere and randomly doing. I can't do that. I love people way too much, and I love my people. So I kind of learned how to be a little bit more relaxed, a little bit more laid back, because you had to be, right? You had to be at home. And it kind of gave me, like we said earlier, the fake it till you make it. It gave me a reason to fake spending time just sitting and thinking, or just reading, or just like things that I usually ignore. So that was quite a positive. So we spent a lot of time like with family, which is always great. So that was a great one as well, spending as much time with family as possible. So realizing how important family is and how a lot of people lost some of their family because of COVID, and realizing we were very lucky to come out of this one without that happening. We started podcasting. We podcast for a year. And that was so much fun, bringing in guests from around the world. Puck Up was one of the guests. We had a few different guests on there. Were just like great people.
You there? I lost you there for a second.
Frozen?
Yeah. You back?
There we go. Got you. Yeah.
We went even better that time. There we go. Now, I lost you at you started a podcast.
Yeah, so started the podcast and made a lot of friends because of it. In a year of being stuck at home, ended up making a lot of friends around the world, and actually made more friends in COVID than what I had before, which might not, you know, I don't know if it's a good or bad thing, but like, met a lot of good friends, a lot of good connections, a lot of good people around the world. So definitely lots of positive, you know, came out of it. We found ways to stay connected and stay busy and keep. So that was great. Yeah, would I prefer that COVID just never happened? 100%. But it did, and here we are, you know?
Yeah, 100%. I feel like the biggest blessing though with COVID was we actually got to take a step back. Like we're too busy, stuck in the hustle and bustle every single day, that we got to take a step back and just focus on the small things in life, like our family, our friends, you know, the things that we take for granted in life that we actually got to focus on now.
Mm. Mm. Yeah, dude, family became a very, very important factor in it. We lived with our family for a couple months during COVID. Everyone just, spending time together, being together, taking as much like financial burden off each other, or mainly off us, and kind of just like living with the parents, living with the brothers and sisters, kind of seeing everyone. And like at the beginning you were like, oh shit, like we have to do this, we have to like figure out a way to still make money, how to still make things work. And 2 months in you were like, oh, I can actually like not live with very little, but I can actually live quite.
You're back. What?
There we go. Got you back.
All right. Okay. Where were we at? I do not know.
I was saying, living with family and how it like took so much burden off for so many of us, and how we learned how to be happy with a lot less. So like, not necessarily less money per se, but like being less busy, being less active and less on the go all the time, and less, like on it all the time. She realized you can be happy with a lot less than you think you can.
100%. Are you right for time, or you need to go somewhere?
Dude, I'm all good.
Yeah.
I'm all good, dude. Sorry, I got asked to go take photos or something now, but we're not doing it.
Are you into photography?
I am big time, dude, big time.
Yeah, because I seen you. Is it Morado Studios or something like that? Is that yours?
Yes, that's it. Yeah.
How did all that come about?
It actually, well, the period I told you after I did my first film and didn't book anything for a year. So in that year, I was like, shit, I need something to do, and I need a creative outlet. Like clearly no one's wanting me on set right now, which is fine, but like I still need something to do. And I found a really old camera in the back of my dad's cupboard, and I was like, cool, I'm gonna take photos, because I loved art and charcoal drawings and pencil drawings, and I got into graffiti and tattoo art and like a whole, but like I've always been in that space, and photography was great for me because there was such a sense of instant gratification. There was such a like moment and capture it, and now I have that moment. A big thing in Cape Town is obviously Cape Town's like a model city. It's a beautiful city with a lot of beautiful people, and so I went into shooting models and shooting for brands and stuff like that, and I got a bit tired of that like 3 months in, and so I started Morado Studios because I didn't want to put my photographic work under my name, because I wanted to keep my name to acting, and I didn't want my photographic work or wherever else it went to be tied to the success of my name, if that makes any sense. Like I wanted it to have its own success. If I don't make it one day, God forbid, then the company still could, because it's not under my name. But if I do make it somewhere, I can take a bit. So like I had this whole plan at 18 of like how it would work, and then since then we got into a lot of different medias, right? So photography, videography, podcasting, website design, a lot of that type of stuff, a lot of graphic design as well we want to get into, which is sick. But I designed Morado Studio. So Morado comes from, I think it was a Greek word, which is to have like an undying, passionate love for something. And it could go, there was Morato and Morata, and I think Morata was the female, what's the word? Like there's a male and a female in some languages, if that makes any sense. And Morato was for a man to have an undying, loving passion for something. Well, that's just what I read it as when I was 18. And so I just kind of took the name and stuck by it. I didn't know why Morato. I didn't know why Studios. I had no idea. And again, things turn out the way that they're supposed to. And beginning of this year, coming out of COVID, having done the podcasting and having done the vlogging now and done photography and video and all this kind of stuff, I went, shit, I actually really enjoy production. I actually really enjoy you know, design and creative directing and producing and like jumping on these projects, like I really fucking love it. You know, like working with a creative team to put something together that when other people watch it, again, it links perfectly with my passion for acting and storytelling. That when other people watch it, they're like, I feel what that person feels, you know, or they realize something that they like, you know, there's so many benefits to loving this industry and this art form. And that's kind of what it started becoming. So I'm very grateful for it. I love it. It's been a hard struggle because it's all been based on getting clients and is your portfolio good enough? And, you know, being a one-man band is always not the easiest. But it's something that's very close to heart for me. And it's something that I feel one day is going to be very successful. So yeah, I love it. I love it a lot.
Yeah, that's awesome. Like I went through the Instagram page for Murado and seen all the pictures, man. You're a pretty good photographer.
Thank you, dude. Yeah, it's Instagram's a weird one because like we post up all the like, you know, all the work that we shoot that like gets likes that people like seeing. And I started shooting on film beginning of the year, I think. Yeah. Bought my film camera in December. Started shooting on film, and the second I started shooting on film, I was like, oh, this is the best thing ever. So I completely fell in love with shooting on film. And now that's become my biggest passion now. So love that as well. So yeah, thank you for checking out the Instagram. It's great. Thank you.
Yeah, because I love photography and videography myself. I'm also on the travel side of things. Like I love taking photos of waterfalls and shit like that. It's amazing being able to capture the moment and being able to look back at the places you've gone.
Dude, you know what is so great is like you having a passion for photography in travel is so great when you meet other people that have that same passion. So there's some photos that I've like taken on film, like with the family or when we go out or when we travel or whatever. And I look back at that, I'm like, damn, like words can't always express what that moment was. And this photo, and that's why I love film, because film is one sort of take one photo and that's it. Like don't waste your roll. And you capture that moment perfectly and it tells the story exactly as needs to be. And that's great. So as you travel, dude, you're probably going to meet so many people that are into photography and stuff as well. And so it starts to branch out and you start like, you know, telling the story, which is incredible.
Yeah. That's the amazing thing about travel. And hopefully the world opens up soon and I can travel around the world. That'd be fucking awesome.
Dude, as soon as you start doing that, I'm down. Like, let me know when and where. Or come here. That'd be fire.
Yeah, bro, that's on my list, 100%.
Dude, you would love... A lot of Aussies that come to South Africa and I mean, as we all know, a lot of South Africans move to Australia. Like, the cultures are very similar, but I think the landscape is different.
Yeah.
You know, we also have beaches and stuff like that, just as you guys do, but it's definitely... South Africa, Australia, like very, very vastly different landscape-wise. But the people are so like, dude, I love Aussies. Like the Aussies are such good people. Like we have quite a few Aussie friends. A friend of ours, Peter in Vancouver, is a stand-up comedian. Dude, he has the best sense of humor, and you know, it's just like there's something about Aussies and the sense of humor you guys have that is just like rock solid. Like I love it. I love Australian culture. It's so dope.
Yeah, it's awesome. Have you been to Australia?
I haven't. I got asked to come. It was before COVID. I think it was like 2, possibly even 3 years ago. I got asked to come over to. There was some interest in a job interview, not in acting, in something else. Got asked to come over and meet everyone for that, and I was like, nah, I'm gonna stick in acting. So I could have been there at a stage, and it wasn't meant to be. So, but I'll be there soon.
Yeah,
I'll be there soon.
We'll definitely have to catch up either in South Africa or Australia, man. That'd be awesome.
Dude, you're probably gonna get messages from me now, like sending you ideas, being like, hey, so this month is open. Like that'd be so fire.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Like I want to go to New Zealand as well. That looks even better.
Dude, I almost moved. I moved a lot as a kid, but we almost moved to New Zealand when I was like grade 5 or 6, so like really young. And and we did so much research, like as a family, on New Zealand and like what it's like to live there. It looks insane. Like
Yeah.
New Zealand looks like it's the place to be.
Yeah.
And apparently the people are incredible.
Yeah, 100%. It's on my bucket list. I can't wait to get over there.
Isn't it? Is it easy for you guys? Like even now with COVID, is it easy for you to get there?
Yeah, so we have a travel bubble at the moment, so we can actually go over there.
Dude, that's sick.
Yeah, because we have like no COVID cases and they got like zero because they're so isolated. Yeah, they opened up like a travel bubble and we can go over there. Well, certain states can go over there.
Dude, that's sick.
Yeah. So hopefully I can get over there soon.
For that. I'm sure you will, dude. I'm sure you will.
Yeah.
New Zealanders look like great people.
Yeah, they are. Yeah.
I'm excited to see who you interview and like who you see there.
Yeah, bro. I'd love to interview some people over there. That'd be fucking amazing.
That'd be sick.
Dude, so I guess as we start to wrap up, what's a piece of advice you would give to the listeners? Whether that be a young actor or just someone that's going through struggles in life, trying to get to that top, basically.
Well, I consider myself one of those people still trying to get to that top. So this far, I think there's a certain sense of self-worth that I think is a lot more important than we make it out to be. I believe massively in purpose, in someone's purpose. In someone's passion. I believe you get given a goal and a dream for a reason, and we all get given very, very specific ones. And I think one of the hardest things to learn is to build your own self-worth, not on the success of a career or how much money you have in the bank account or any like mundane, short-lived things. It's very difficult to do. I don't know if it's relevant to just my industry. It might be relevant to everyone, but I think like the confidence, like a lot of people like build confidence, but you know, and we all do this, we build confidence based on achievement, or we build confidence based on like who we are or who people tell us we are. You know, someone might say, "Oh, you're so good at that," and you go, "Oh, I'm good at this," but when no one's telling you that, or you're good at it, and that's something I'm actively very much still working on. I think that would be my advice: is just work on that, that sense of self-worth. I think mentally and emotionally, it helps a lot when you spend time with yourself and are able to build a foundation of self-worth that is not stemmed in the number in your bank account or stemmed in what car you drive or in how many people tell you how great you are. I think self-worth is quite important. At least right now, while we're talking, that's what comes to mind. Yeah.
No, 100% agree. Like you got to focus on yourself and your inner growth to be able to achieve those big things. Yeah. Like you're not going to achieve anything if you're in a negative mindset or you're not at a level where you need to be to achieve those things.
100%. I think it all. I mean, it sounds like a cheesy thing to say, but it genuinely does all start with you, right? So, I wrote this down the other day as well. Was the things that I'm trying to achieve and the goals that I want to meet cannot be achieved with who I am right now. So it's doable. It's very possible, and it's very achievable. But I cannot stay stagnant in my mental state and in my self-worth and expect that I'm still going to achieve it. So me as a person, as who I am, the way that I think, the way that I feel, the way I behave, and the way I interact has to develop. It has to change. It has to evolve in order for me to meet those goals. So the goals that I've met are great. I should never not acknowledge that. But I met that goal being that person. And the person that I was is what was required to achieve that goal. My new goal needs an entirely new person. I'm not going to change who I am, but I'm going to try better myself, right? and moving forward and taking steps forward to become that person, then the goal becomes achieved. And a lot of the time, I look at the goal and I'm like, oh, goal achieved. But I don't look at this dude, and go like, oh, look at who I had to become to do it. I think that's important. And that helps me to understand why it's their time. But some people, and anyone that achieves anything, hats off. Well, they can take it into it. Yeah, I think that helps.
Now, obviously, you're a big goal setter. What sort of goals did you set for this year? Especially with COVID, it probably would have been kind of hard to set big goals, really.
Dude, that's a solid question. It's what I'm asking myself as well. Is like, what is my goal for the rest of this year, right? So, as they stand right now, I've started placing more of a focus on like goals for my personal, like for me as a person, the way I think and the way I am. I don't spend enough time by myself thinking and writing and journaling and like in quiet time kind of thing. So that's what I'm starting to do more of, and that's definitely become one of my top goals, is that I do that. That's one of them. I have a goal like career-wise for like how much more and what I'd like to book and do the rest of the year. Yeah, we have, hopefully, Lord please, later this year, the second season of the show we just did. I'd love for that to happen. We have Kissing Booth 3 releasing on the 11th of August, so I want that to do well. Yeah.
All right. Okay. How do you define success?
Okay. I've got it because this is going to attain to everything. I define success. Damn, that's a good question. I define success. I define success for how much of like an impact I can make in those closest to me's lives. That was horrendous English. So like, if I like I have this lifetime achievement goal where all I want to do is buy a really, really big house so that I can put all my friends in it. Like, I've wanted to do that since I was like 10 years old. It's a flipping cool goal.
It is a cool goal.
Dude, I like buy a big house, not because I want a big house, but because I need one to put all my mates in. And just like have everyone live there, and then like no one has to worry about like mortgage, rent, anything. Everyone can just live together like one big community. I love that. Yeah, like I want to achieve the things that I want to achieve personally, because it's my passion and it's my purpose. As I said earlier, but also because the impact that I could make on those around me would be so significant. It would be so great. And one day when I peg and like I'm not people, needs to remain. It needs to stay lasting. I think that's success to me. There we go. Have I got you?
Yeah, let's just say I'm not moving to South Africa.
Oh, I love it. Oh. Everyone listening is gonna be like, I never want to live there.
No.
Yeah.
All you can do is laugh.
We do have good Wi-Fi in this country, I promise. Just not right now. Yeah, sorry, dude. I know it keeps dropping. Like, I'm thoroughly enjoying this conversation, so I hope you are too, despite all the dropping all the time.
I am, bro. I am. I'm gonna have to do a lot of editing, that's for sure.
I know. Like this happened to me with a guy staying out in LA, Marta. And we had him on the show, and it kept dropping, and he's a big guy. So like every time it would come back in, I would link in before he knew I was back in, and it would be him like, fucking Wi-Fi. And I'd be like, oh, I'm so sorry, dude. Like, please don't eat me. Shame, he's a sweetheart. I love that guy. But yeah, so I think that's what success would be to me.
Awesome. I think I got a lot of that. I'll just have to clip it all together. Last question. When your time's all up and done on this earth, what would you like to be remembered for?
Never thought about this. Yeah, so it's the kind of question that like I've actually genuinely I've never thought of this question, like how I would answer it before. Um, so the most roundabout question, or I mean, at least answer to this question that I can give is that I'd like to leave an impact where I don't physically need to be around anymore for that impact to still be living on. Um, so like I really like the idea of like leaving as much of yourself behind when you die. So that'd be pretty cool to get to do.
Yeah, that'd be amazing. And then you mentioned having the big ass house for all your friends and family to live in.
Oh, dude, that'd be so sick. So I think like, yeah, to a goal of mine, like a really big goal would be to buy like a giant house. Not because I want a giant house. Like I actually genuinely don't really care about having a big house, but I'd love a huge house just so that I have so much space to put all my friends in. And like everyone can just live in the same house and it'd be like one or two kitchens and everyone just cooks giant meals for each other in the morning and like kind of like our own little entourage vibe. Like that's my favorite thing ever. And just kind of like help each other out on each other's careers and like any connections each person has to feed it into the other one and like start businesses together and like have your family be there and like that'd be amazing. Like getting your parents to like spend as much time as possible with their grandkids, you know, and getting like being the cool uncle for your best friend's kids, you know, and like all the wives getting along and like maybe that's a little bit of a perfect world scenario, but you know, it's definitely something that'd be pretty sweet.
Yeah, it would be 100%. I guess we'll wrap it up now. In advance, I'm sorry to all the listeners for all the dropping in and out. One thing I did learn is, yes, I'm never moving to South Africa. The internet is not good.
Yeah, fair. I think what'll happen if it makes the listeners any happier, we'll definitely jump on a second call very soon, and then I'll make sure that there's really good signal so I can portray South Africa and moving here in a good light.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. But yeah, thank you.
That'd be great.
Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to jump on this podcast. It really means a lot to me.
Dude, no problem. Thank you so much for having me. And I like fully back what it is you're busy doing. I think it's great. I think the questions you asked were amazing. So thank you for that. Thank you for giving me time of day as well to give you long-winded answers as well. Yeah, I'm excited to see this come out. I'm excited to have a second chat with you very soon. And I'm excited to see how this podcast continues to grow, dude. I think it's going to do very well.
Thank you, bro. I really appreciate that. And it was great talking to you. I felt like we've built a friendship here and it's awesome. I can't wait to stay connected.
Dude, for sure. Like I said earlier, you're definitely going to be getting messages from me quite often now with ideas and random things to do and places we definitely should travel to together.
Awesome, bro. I'm grateful for this moment. Really, even though the internet's shit, I'm super grateful.
Hey, dude, at least now we have something that we've overcome together, you know?
100%, man. And for all the listeners, thank you so much for tuning in once again and listening to my podcast, all the effort that I put into. All I ask for is that, you know, you like the page, share it on your socials. It really means a lot. Check out what Josh is doing if you already don't know who he is. He's doing great things as well, and I can't wait to follow your journey, Josh. Thank you once again.
Thank you, dude. Just make sure to send me all the links and media and everything for your podcast so that I can share it through to my socials as well and like kind of let my side of the world know as well. I'm sure people are going to be super stoked to hear not only this podcast, but to hear all the other ones that you have to come as well.
For sure, man. All right. Thank you, guys, and we'll see you in the next episode. Cheers.